The Mongols paid survivors and travelers to spread horror stories about their massacres. They weaponized terror into a military strategy. But here's the twist. Paying people to advertise your brutality saved millions of lives. After Samarkand's destruction, 47 cities surrendered without a single arrow fired. One massacre prevented hundreds of battles. Today you'll discover why they turned survivors into propagandists, how they engineered fear across 3 continents, and the psychological weapon that conquered more territory than their armies. Let's start with the moment terror became policy. It's 1219. Genghis Khan faces a choice. His empire stretches 3,000 miles. The Khwarezmian Empire controls Central Asia, 200 cities, mountains, deserts. Conquering city by city could take decades and cost 500,000 Mongol lives. The Khan needs force multiplication. His 150,000 soldiers face 400,000 defenders. If he fights every battle traditionally, he loses. Then Otrar happens. The governor Inalchuq murders 450 Mongol merchants and ambassadors. Khan sends diplomats. The Khwarezmian Shah executes them too. This gives Khan exactly what he needs, an excuse for total annihilation. He doesn't just want revenge. He wants a demonstration so horrifying that future enemies surrender before fighting. He's about to build the medieval world's most effective psychological warfare machine. Here's how it worked. Day 1. Mongol armies surround Otrar. Population 200,000, triple walls, years' worth of food. The governor thinks he's safe. Day 5. Mongols breach the outer wall. They don't rush in. Instead, they gather every citizen from the outer district, 40,000 people. They separate them into groups. Here's where the pattern begins. Group 1, skilled craftsmen, potters, blacksmiths, weavers, 8,000 people. Mongols spare them, send them east to build their empire. Group 2, young men and women, 15,000 people, enslaved, forced to march ahead of armies as human shields in future battles. Group 3, elderly, children, everyone else, 17,000 people, executed systematically. Soldiers receive quotas. Each must present severed ears as proof. But Group 4 matters most. 20 survivors, handpicked, given horses, supplies, money, their job, ride to every city within 500 miles, tell everyone exactly what happened, spare no detail. The Mongols pay them to spread fear. Now here's where it gets calculated. Day 15, inner walls fall. Governor Inalchuq was captured alive. Molten silver poured into his eyes and ears. The execution takes 40 minutes. Mongols ensure 100 witnesses watch. Then they release those witnesses, give them money, send them to Samarkand, Bukhara, Urgench. Within 3 weeks, every city in Central Asia knows what resistance costs. The Khan hasn't just destroyed Otrar, he's created a weapon. But how do you turn witnesses into effective propagandists? The answer required 4 specific mechanisms. The survivor payment system, operated through precise psychology. 1. Selectivity. Mongols didn't release random survivors. They chose specific people. Merchants who traveled trade routes, religious leaders with credibility, former officials with connections. These people had networks. One merchant could reach 30 cities. One imam could influence thousands. 2. Standardization. Every survivor told the same story structure. First, the size of Mongol forces always exaggerated. Second, the speed of conquest always compressed. Third, the fate of resistors always specific and graphic. Fourth, the mercy shown to surrenderers always generous. This is narrative engineering. 3. Financial incentive. Mongols gave survivors 5,200 silver dirhams. That's 6 months' wages for a craftsman, enough to travel comfortably and be believed. Poor refugees get ignored. Well-funded witnesses get audiences with governors. It's an advertising budget. 4. Verification network. Mongols released witnesses in waves. Week 1, 20 people from Otrar. Week 3, 30 from Bukhara. Week 5, 50 from Samarkand. Each group corroborates previous stories, independent sources telling identical horrors. Credibility multiplies. But here's what made this genius. Let me show you how one witness cascade worked. Merchant Hassan leaves Otrar ruins in March 1220, reaches Merv by April. Tell the governor, Otrar held 21 days, 200,000 dead, Mongols lost 47 soldiers. Governor thinks Hassan exaggerates but finds Merchant Yasir from Bukhara telling identical numbers. Then Imam Abdul from Samarkand arrives. Same story, 3 independent sources. The governor of Merv surrenders in May without fighting. This gave Mongols a 10x force multiplication. Their 150,000 soldiers functionally became 1.5 million through reputation alone. Cities surrendered to armies that didn't exist yet. Mongols conquered Transoxiana, the region between 2 rivers, in 18 months. Traditional siege warfare would have taken 15 years. But why couldn't defenders simply ignore these stories? The answer lies in catastrophic psychology. Here's what most people miss. This wasn't just spreading rumors. It was exploiting a specific cognitive bias called availability heuristic. Humans overestimate risks based on memorable examples. One horrific story outweighs 100 statistics. Medieval governors heard abstract numbers about Mongol armies. Then one eyewitness describes silver poured into eye sockets, which image dominates decision-making. The visceral detail wins every time. Mongols understood this 600 years before psychology named it. They engineered stories for maximum cognitive impact. Not just death, creative death. Not just destruction, methodical destruction with numbers. The human brain can't ignore specific horrors. But the genius goes deeper. Remember the hook. One massacre prevented hundreds of battles. Here's the mechanism. After Otrar, Samarkand, and Bukhara fell brutally, Mongols sent those paid survivors everywhere. Then they'd arrive at the next city and offer terms. Surrender immediately. Your leaders die, population spare, taxes moderate. Resist briefly, then surrender. Leaders tortured, men enslaved, city burned. Resist until walls breach, total extermination. This is tiered deterrence. Governors faced a choice tree. Option A, guaranteed survival for 95% of citizens. Option B, risked annihilation. Cold calculation favored surrender, but calculation alone wouldn't work. Humans rationalize. They think maybe Mongols exaggerated or were stronger than Otrar was. Fear stories eliminated rationalization. When 50 witnesses describe identical horrors, governors couldn't dismiss it as propaganda. The Mongols created social proof of their brutality. Modern nuclear strategy uses identical logic. Hiroshima and Nagasaki weren't just military targets. They were demonstrations. 2 cities destroyed to prevent millions of invasion casualties. Catastrophic deterrence works because human psychology prioritizes avoiding worst-case scenarios. You see this everywhere today. TSA security theater after 9/11, financial regulation after 2008, corporate compliance after Enron. One spectacular failure reshapes entire systems. Mongols weaponized this principle in 1220. But here's the sophistication. They didn't just terrorize, they calibrated terror. Cities that surrendered immediately got lenient treatment. Herat surrendered in 1221, kept local governance, and paid modest tribute. This created a comparison point. Resist and die like Otrar, or surrender and prosper like Herat. The choice became obvious. This reveals a universal truth about power. Reputation is more valuable than force. Amazon doesn't fight every competitor. They destroy one spectacularly, diapers, acquired and shut down, and others fall in line. The CIA doesn't coup every unfriendly government. They make examples. Chile 1973, Iran 1953. The message spreads. This is why Mongols weren't just conquerors. They were behavioral architects building a system where enemies defeated themselves through fear. Modern game theory calls this mechanism design. Mongols practiced it 800 years early. After Otrar and Bukhara, panic became Mongols' most effective weapon. Within 2 years, the Khwarezmian Empire collapsed. Shah Muhammad died fleeing. 200 cities fell. 47 surrendered without siege. The math is staggering. Traditional conquest casualties, 30–40% of attacking force. Mongol casualties in Central Asia, under 5%. Fear did the work armies couldn't. But the ripple effects went further. By 1241, Mongol reputation reached Europe. After Liegnitz and Mohyj, 2 battles where 60,000 European knights died, cities across Poland and Hungary evacuated before Mongols arrived. The invasion stopped not from military defeat, but Ojdai Khan's death. Yet European fear of Mongols persisted for generations. One campaign created century-long deterrence. Modern military academies study this. West Point teaches information operations. PSYOPS training uses Mongol case studies. The principle: strategic communication multiplies combat power. Iraq 2003 repeated the pattern. Shock and awe broadcasting destroyed Iraqi will before ground invasion. Mongols systematized psychological warfare into doctrine. But here's the paradox. The empire that perfected terror also enabled unprecedented peace. After conquering Central Asia through fear, Mongols established the Pax Mongolica. Trade routes secured. Yam system built. Postal stations every 25 miles. 200 miles per day communication. Merchants traveled Samarkand to Beijing without bandits. The same brutality that destroyed cities created the Silk Road's safest era. This is the contradiction historians wrestle with. Were Mongols evil or pragmatic, savages or strategic geniuses? The answer: both. They killed 1.7 million in Nishapur. They also preserved Persian literature, promoted religious tolerance, and built infrastructure that lasted centuries. Terror and civilization weren't opposites in their system. Terror enabled civilization by eliminating resistance efficiently. Remember at the start, I said paying survivors to spread stories saved millions of lives. Now you see the mechanism. One city destroyed completely prevents 10 battles. Fear replaces fighting. The math favors brutality. But this raises one question. If you commanded armies and could choose between 100 brutal massacres killing 500,000 people, or 1,000 traditional battles killing 5 million people across 30 years, which do you choose? Utilitarian calculation says massacre fewer to save more. Moral absolutism says never commit atrocities regardless of consequences. There's no comfortable answer. And that's what makes the Mongols fascinating. They didn't agonize over ethics. They optimized for outcomes. Modern warfare pretends to be cleaner, precision strikes, surgical operations. But the logic remains. Demonstrate overwhelming force, break enemy will, minimize your casualties. The Mongols just did it honestly. History isn't written by moral philosophers. It's written by people who understood power. The Mongols mastered psychological warfare before the term existed. If you want to go deeper into their strategic brilliance, if you made it here, you're clearly interested in strategies that shaped empires through psychology, not just strength. I post a tactical breakdown every week. Mongol intelligence networks, battlefield deceptions, empire-building systems that modern militaries still study. Next up, how Mongol scouts used string and sheep fat to track enemies 100 miles away, the surveillance system that made surprise attacks impossible. That video's on screen now. I'll see you there.